So we have bangers games dropping this year like Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, and as well as Part 2 of Final Fantasy 7 Remake. But it's pretty easy to look for some of these smaller releases to drop this year. Team Ninja thought to make the next big hit IP in their several bits of arsenal in Soulslike games like Nioh 1, Nioh 2, and this time Long Fallen Dynasty. Let's talk about it. So first off, we have the overarching story. So this story is revolved around the Three Kingdoms. The Three Kingdoms was actually an historical period in Chinese history, but was romanticized into a very legendary book that I love so much. I've been reading this book for quite some time. It's a great book. It's the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. This is a bit of a historical time period, and essentially where the three different kingdoms of China waged war a long time ago. That's like the short end of the story that I can get with it. But essentially, it got made into a book, and that book has been reiterated of time and time again into multiple different medias and of anything of that nature. So this book was written and compiled by Luo Guangzong in the 14th century. So that shows how dated this is. So Long Fallen Dynasty takes a dark fantasy twist to that and plays along with that. You play as a militia nobody soldier who becomes somebody as you help get rid of demons trying to conquer the Three Kingdoms. The game's story does not have some dramatic moments, really playing home to the novel and the real-life historical events. But anyone who is a die-hard fan of the Three Kingdoms novel, or just say you're just a history buff, honestly, then, or like, you probably might be a geek, and trust me, I'm a geek myself. It's a great book, and I definitely like when I was in world history class and I was learning how like the rest of the world became what they are, their different independences. But the one story that really played out into history was the actual Three Kingdoms, and learning about all these big names and figures and just watching them on like the big screen, I guess, whether we're talking about video games or any other source of media, where like you'll see big names like Lu Bu, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Cao Cao, all of these big name people, especially if you're somebody who's been playing like the Dynasty Warriors series, where these games has been on for long bits of time, and I nerd out a lot about it. But let's talk about the actual gameplay and the reason why most of you are basically here. We got the combat and we have the features. First off, I do want to talk about one particular thing. The beginning of Wolong emphasizes the game's main point of combat, which is the parry system. Now, I can tell you right now, the parry system is... oh, it makes me angry. It makes me so angry, actually. I don't know why, because the parry system is so off. It needs some type of work. I don't know what it is, because the game has two different parries. So you have your normal basic attack. Enemy comes towards you, they attack you, boom, you parry. Now, your parry is set into one button, which is B if you're playing on Xbox and whatever you have it on keyboard and mouse. And you can actually deflect by moving the analog stick to the side. Now, whether you're a god at just hitting the B button in time to deflect, I feel like those are very bugged and it doesn't work. Sometimes I think of blocking as like you should block then do the deflect. It works much better. But the parry system needs work. But I love it because it's so cold how when you parry, especially if you parry a major big attack, especially when the enemy becomes all completely red, and then you hit him with the parry and you hear this glass shatter and it's there. I really do like how the parrying works. Let's put a little bit of ties back to Team Ninja's other titles, which be Nioh 1 and 2. So instead of the martial arts stances that most players are accommodated by or accustomed to, which is the martial arts stances in Nioh, Wolong actually takes it quite a different approach by using elemental attributes as its way of gameplay. And not only is they taking the elemental virtues, they also, every weapon has a particular skill behind it that changes your thing, which they call it the martial arts that you will do in the game. So Nioh, regarding around different stances, gave you different buffs, like the low stance was the more speed deflecting stance and all that stuff. So they basically took that, reformed it, changed it up, and they changed it into two different things, which was the elemental attributes, which there's the ward virtue, which will greatly increase your health. The fire virtue increases the amount of spirit gained by hitting enemies. The water virtue increases your stealth so you can remain undetected. The metal virtue gives your spirit sustainability. Earth virtue increases your equipment limit, basically. The second bit of gameplay to kind of go along with the theory, with that whole synopsis there. The wizardry spells can help you out in battle, as every virtue has a spell list alongside of it from defensive to offensive abilities, and you can make so many builds regarding the wizardry spells. This is how you pretty much do most of your abilities in game, alongside the actual ability of that weapon of your choosing. So they definitely are taking, like, this is a love child, honestly. This is from Sekiro with the parrying system and defending, like that being the main point, and the attacking and gameplay and combat of that of like Neo or even the Ninja Gaiden series. Of course, this game is developed by Team Ninja. Now, this next part is going to be by far the most agonizing thing I've probably have ever seen in a game. Actually, I take that back. I've seen a lot worse, but this one it's up there. It's definitely up there. The next biggest mechanic, since all Soulslike games have something alike, every Soulslike game has some form of thing that makes them stand out. Going back to my previous point with the pairing system. So Dark Souls 1, that was more slow, methodical paced game. Dark Souls 2 tried to amp it up a bit, being more offensive. Then Dark Souls 3 was a nice blend. Of course you had your pairing, of course you had your offense, your defense, stuff like that. Bloodborne was all dodging. That was just non-stop dodging, not dodge everything you need to do. Sekiro, definitely the parry system. As you can tell, every game has their kick. This game in particular, unlike it emphasizing parry, there's another thing that make or break why some of you may or may not like this game. I'm very very divisive on this. So the Morel ranking system. This feature is what dictates the difficulty of each area enemy's bosses, right? Every map has a set amount of flags to place down to increase your morale ranking, and an enemy's morale rank is above yours, they will always take less damage and deal more, while the opposite will be true if your rank is above theirs. Then there's the fortitude. Fortitude can be thought of as your morale level baseline, and if you have a fortitude rank of, say, about maybe 15, then your morale will only drop to 15, even if you continue to die. Now, overall, my final overarching thoughts regarding like my first impressions / review of Long Fallen Dynasty. This game is fun and addicting. It gives me a very much needed dopamine rush. It helps out a lot. Honestly, we need dopamine rushes around here. That's why I like playing looter shooters. I like being rewarded something. And that's something you get out of playing any Souls-like game or any game where it's such a challenge. You finally win. You get that little rush in your brain cells. The little timmies are, they're all moving around, right? Boss battles are bangers, especially the Lubu fight. Like I said, if you guys are the history nerds, history buffs, or like you're a gamer, that is definitely a nice, cool moment anytime you come across Lubu. For all my guys out there, the community, if you play Dynasty Warriors, I want to know in the comment section, like, what was your most oh shit moment when you came across Lubu or any other major figure in the Dynasty Warriors games. Honestly, Lubu scared the shit out of me back then. But another thing is the multiplayer keeps crashing. That needs to be fixed. Honestly, the game's been crashing a lot recently as the time of me playing this. Granted, this is almost a month or two after the game is dropped, so I'm very surprised on why it has so many crashes, especially when there's a boss fight. I hate when it crashes at a boss fight because somehow when I'm playing with my buddy, this stuff doesn't save and I get sent all the way back. Now, he did tell me if you are playing single player, you will go right back to the flag. But I've been noticing when we're playing together, when it's multiplayer, when something crashes and the game just cuts out, it starts us right at the beginning. Pairing is honestly the saving grace. If you can't master pairing, you won't get through this game. This game requires all type of reflexes that you got in your whole body. The story is pretty good, and I got attached to the characters as they're portrayed in this new dark fantasy, while the soundtrack really takes home how well the tone of war and the China history, it's so awesome, honestly. I'm a little nerding out here because I'm a historical buff as well. Not as elite up there, but I definitely love some good history. I want to know if you guys like that as well. The mile ranking is cool mechanic, but definitely can get annoying when trying to speed run the missions, mainly due to the fact that the game crashes when I have to say at the beginning. Of course, your guys' experiences may be different, but that was just something a little bit that I had to go through. I want to hear what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Where did you guys enjoy playing Wolong? They did say they got 3 DLCs coming out this year, so hopefully we stay tuned to that. I'm almost done beating it, and right now I'm having a good time. Other than the slight cons that I just named, the game is still fun. Team Ninja, you did your thing. Other than that, it's been your host, KSDTV, here at Chaotic Inc., signing out. Peace.
I write things, I make them manifest. I don't sleep, that's so weak, don't plan to rest. I'm from a hood where you die if you don't pack a vest. No culinary degrees, but whipping crack the best. Chefing, hard times taught lessons. Praying every night to pull up in park Benzes. What's my home is what you call trenches. You wouldn't last a day seeing life through all lenses. It's all tension, no sun, and rain and plenty. Full-time job, still can never